Hello there, and welcome to Really Cool Excel. Today we're going to look at how to format numbers on a worksheet. I'm also going to give you a bit of background information on how Excel performs calculations, which can help you to understand why results sometimes don't look right. Let's start by just typing in some numbers to see what Excel does as the default. If I type in 10, it displays as, well, 10, as you'd expect. 10.1, also as you'd expect. But 10.10 displays as 10.1. The last zero is dropped. But 10.01 displays as 2 decimal points, because the last digit isn't a zero. Similarly with 10.15. But 10.150 drops the final zero as before. 10.521 shows 3 decimal places, but 10.520 doesn't. And so it goes on. So this is pretty standard Excel behavior, but now think back to how we were taught at school. I was taught to write my sums in units, tens, hundreds, and thousands, like this. Then, when we learned about decimal points, we wrote the sums like this. All nice and neat, and because the digits are all in line, it's easy to count, without a calculator, never mind Excel. Aye, them were the days. Anyway, if we look at our column of Excel figures, surely it would look better if the numbers were all lined up, as we did at school. To do this, we have to apply formatting to our list of numbers, and as usual, there are a few ways to do this. Here's the longest method. First, I'll select the numbers I want to format. Up here on the ribbon, there's a group of toolbar buttons called the Number group. And at the bottom right of this group, as with most groups, is a little icon called the dialog box launcher. Hover your mouse over one of these launchers and a screen tip will tell you what it's all about. Now, click on the Number launcher, which brings up the Format Cells dialog box. There are various categories listed on the left here, and the one we want is the Number category. Click here, and now we have options to set the number format. I want the numbers to have 2 decimal places. I don't want a comma separator for numbers in the thousands, and I'd like negative numbers to be displayed in red with a minus symbol. Once I've made all my choices, click OK to accept. Now our numbers are nicely lined up. So that's the slowest way. Let's look at some quicker methods. I'll undo this using the keyboard shortcut for undo, which is Ctrl and Z. Back up on the Number group is a drop-down which currently says General. Open the drop-down and you'll see General means no specific format. Below it is Number, which gives us 2 decimal places, which is fine if that's all we want. Click this option and they're back in line again. Undo again, Ctrl and Z. These 2 buttons, Increase Decimal and Decrease Decimal, will change the number of digits displayed after the decimal points by 1 point every time you click it. But you'll notice if I click Decrease Decimal, nothing happens. This is because our first number has no decimal places. It's just the number 10, so the decimal points can't be decreased. But if I click Increase Decimal, every number on our list is displayed with 1 decimal point. Click it again for 2, and so on. I'll decrease back to 2 because that's how I'd like it to be displayed. You'll remember we only formatted the numbers we selected, so you might think that only these cells will have the format we just specified. But newer versions of Excel will apply the same formatting to cells in the same column. So if I type 10.521 in here, Excel applies the same formatting as the cells above, 2 decimal places. Even if we jump a cell to here, it still works. But check your version to see what happens. It might not be the same, in which case you'll have to apply the formatting separately. You can also select the whole column by clicking the column header. Then, when you apply the formatting, you can be certain everything in that column will be formatted the same. You'll probably have whole columns that will contain numbers, amounts of money for example. If you pre-format an empty column, I'll do it here with column D, when you put data in it, it will pick up the formatting you set. 10.521 displays with 2 decimal points. But let's take a sideways step for a minute. Back at the introduction to the video, I said we would look at how Excel performs calculations. To demonstrate, I'll type 10.495 in here and 10.495 in the cell below. Then add the two cells together in here. And the answer displayed is 20.99. Now, if I format the column to 2 decimal places, it appears that 10.5 plus 10.5 equals 20.99. Well, clearly that's wrong, but why does it happen? It happens because we have changed how the numbers are displayed. They were originally displayed with 3 decimal places, and now they are displayed with 2. So what you see on the screen is the displayed value, 10.50. But when I click on the cell and look at the formula bar, you'll see that it still says 10.495. This is the stored value, it's what we typed in. And the key thing to understand is no matter how we change the display or how it's formatted on the screen, Excel performs all its calculations on what we type in, the stored value. You might see this effect on financial spreadsheets, where displayed numbers have been rounded up. Company reports might be rounded up to the hundreds, thousands, or even higher, but very probably calculations will be on the stored values at the lowest level. Right, just before we close, let's look at a few more things to do with formatting. By default, numbers are formatted to the right of the cell, and text is formatted to the left. It's time for a personal plea here. I see lots of worksheets where the user has formatted the numbers to center alignment using this button here, and I really don't understand why people do that. We were all taught the same at school, so why, as soon as people get a hold of Excel, do they center align numbers? So please, or even pretty please, don't do that. Numbers are formatted to the right for a reason. Please leave it that way. Thank you. Finally, formatting is currency. Select the numbers as usual, then you can select pounds, dollars and euros from the drop-down on this button, or every currency under the sun by following this route. More accounting formats, currency, and change the symbol to whatever you need. This one sounds very exotic, the Mohawk dollar. And with apologies to any Mohawks listening, I really have no idea what that is. And that's all I'm going to say just now about formatting numbers. I'll leave you to go off and experiment. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you again next time.